Yo, what is up, everyone? It is your man, I Do a Barber, back with another haircut tutorial. And as you can see, I'm combing the hair in place and getting it ready to start fading. And as you can see here, I am creating my first initial guideline, and I opened up the clippers ever so slightly to create this guideline. And I like doing this because it's really quick a lot of times, rather than just taking the trimmers or whatever you use to bald out up to create that line, especially when you're dealing with longer hair. You're trying to create a bald line into longer hair. So as you see here, I'm using my Slimline Pro LIs to bald out. And you guys may be wondering, this isn't the typical background that I use when I do haircut tutorials. I usually have a few different locations when I do haircut tutorials, but this was when I was on vacation in Florida. It literally is around midnight. Me and my buddy were at home. I was on vacation, and both of our wives, they were like, hey, they're gonna go out and party. So we were like chilling, watching TV, and I was like, man, let's cut your hair, and then let me do a haircut tutorial. So as you see, I'm balding out with the Braun Series 7 just to get it extra bald, and he wanted to go bald on this fade. So I was like, man, this is interesting, because I've cut his hair before, and on the channel it was a all detachable fade, but it was more like a shadow fade. So if you're ever curious on seeing that video, I'll throw a link to that video in the description below. I use the detachables only, and the lowest portion of that I use the OA. So now with my adjustables, I'm coming up here and I'm creating a 1-inch guideline above the guideline that I initially created. Really simple process, making sure the lines are symmetrical and make sure that they're even, because with your fades, you need consistency. You need consistency. It's very important, especially when you're fading with guidelines, because that is the basis of the fade and the structure and how your fade will actually look. And if you're curious, I'm using the cordless NVLIs. And if anyone is curious, I'll leave links in the description below to all the products and tools that I'll use in this video. But I have the Wahl Senior blade on my NVLIs. So if you guys are curious, this is not the blade that comes on the Envies. This is the surgical blade that comes on the Wahl Seniors, 5-star Seniors. So now I've just got the lever halfway open, and I'm softening up that bottom line. You could probably see the contrast difference, and that's really what you should focus on, is the contrast difference. I'm only going up about halfway into that 1-inch guideline that I just created, and I'm starting my fade. So typically what I do is I'll create the 1-inch guideline, I'll go half, then close. Some people will create the 1-inch guideline, go close, then half, but essentially it's all the same process. It's just a little bit backwards, but in the end, the result is the same. So no matter what method you use, same process, same result. So still have it closed, and I'm just flicking at that bottom line to get that line out of there. And he has about a medium to fine hair texture. So the way his hair looks versus someone else's hair is totally different. So now I have the one blade on my detachables, and I'm going up about 1/4 of an inch. I'm barely going up. I'm not going up that high. So if you're curious what I'm doing in this process, I'm basically just gonna walk this fade all the way up. After that first initial guideline that I created, well, the first two, I'm not gonna create any more guidelines. I'm just gonna walk my way up. So now I've got the 1A blade on, and I'm going up about another 1/4, maybe even 1/3 of an inch. I'm going up, and now you could probably see the contrast change in his hair now that I put the 1A blade on, because before it was really hard to see that, the contrast of it, but now you can see it a lot more. It's a lot more apparent. And now I've got the 1.5 on. So now with the 1.5, I'm going up about 1/2 of an inch. And this is a really simple process. It's really simple for a beginner to understand and comprehend, because all you're doing is starting from smallest, working your way up to the biggest. And it's very simple. The only thing is, as you do this, you have to be very thorough in your work, unless you know how to detail the haircut properly. But it's a very simple process. But you also have to know what a fade should look like and how far to go up, because at some points you're going to have to stretch out the blend or even compress it. So you got to be really careful when you fade up, because you do run the risk of just going too high ultimately. So now I have the 2 blade on, and I'm going up about a 1/2 inch again along that line, along that guideline. And that's why I said in the beginning, it's very important to make sure your guidelines are symmetrical, they're even, because that's the basis of your fade. And the same thing applies here. That's the basis of my fade, and that's what I'm judging my fade on. And now I have the 3.5 on, and I'm just going up another 1/2 inch. And the whole idea behind this one was to stretch out the blend. And before I cut his hair, he had a hat on, and which of course leaves indentation. So we're not in the barber shop, I'm at his house. I apologize for the lighting, because we're just using the lighting in his house. Luckily, the camera has some pretty decent low light settings where it could actually still pick up a lot of what you're seeing now. So now I have the 3 3/4 blade on, and I'm just going up, and this will be the highest blade that I'll use. And I'm gonna tie in all the long hair into this 3 3/4 blade. So now, seeing how I'm on vacation, I didn't bring all my tools with me. You see me with water. I'm putting water in my hand and I'm putting it into his hair, because I don't have a spray bottle. He didn't have a spray bottle at home, shockingly, but I have to do what I have to do to survive. You know what I'm saying? So I'm combing his hair forward, getting ready to section it and parting his hair off. So all you're gonna see me do, I'm gonna do the mohawk section, I'm gonna do profile parting, and we're gonna cut from there. So as you see there, very easy way to create this guideline and this parting. Like I said, I'm at his house. The chair is not typical to what I'm using. I can't raise or lower it, so some of the areas I'm using, I gotta be a little bit funky. So now I'm just cutting the top. He wanted to keep the top shorter in the back, longer in the front. And the barber that he goes to typically, he said the last time his barber cut his hair, he just used a guard and went with the grain. He did not use scissors on the top. And I was like, are you serious? I was like, dude, you need to get rid of this dude. You need to find another barber. Or if you go back to him, if he uses a guard on you next time, you need to tell him he needs to use scissors, because there's no way you're going to get that look that he's looking for with the guard. It's not even possible. It's just ridiculous. He just ran it with the grain and was like, okay. So now I'm just basically cutting it from longer to short. I'm just creating a shape. So as you see there, I'm trying to preserve some of the hair in the crown, and I got that mohawk section. So now I've got the hair parted past the recession, and I'm just making sure that hair is even and creating a guideline. Sometimes people do this first, but I just decided to do this last, because I know that this length will blend into the 3 3/4. Now, if I was using something lower, a lower blade or guard, I probably would have done this first. But seeing how I know I'm going to use the 3 3/4, I know that this blends into the 3 3/4. It's no problem. And this, I like using this method of cutting when I'm doing faux hawks. And hopefully I can get a faux hawk haircut for you guys, a tutorial where I could actually show you. And it's really helpful when I do faux hawks cutting like this, because it helps with the shape of the faux hawk, and it's really easy to cut. So I'm just doing the same thing. I'm just following my initial guideline. As you can see, I showed you that long hair that needs to be cut in relation to the guideline that I'm following. It's basically a traveling guideline. So I'm just going back, going all the way to the back, and I'm just making sure this hair gets cut, and I'm making sure it's all even. So if, let's say, he wanted to wear it either way, it would flow well into his haircut. So now I'm combing the hair forward, and I'm gonna I'm gonna connect both sides to the middle, because the middle is the shortest point. I just cut the hair at the recession. So if you see that hair that's poking up, that's that long hair that needs to be cut. So now I'm just over directing the hair backwards to create that forward motion, and I'm just cutting the hair there just to even it all out. Now, while I was on vacation, I didn't have a lot of product with me. I didn't have a lot of stuff with me. As you saw, I was pouring water into my hand to wet his hair, because hey, sometimes that's what you have to deal with. I had another tutorial with a mid-ball fade with a texture top, where you gotta improvise. As a barber, you have to know different things. It's always important to know different things and do things that you are not ordinarily accustomed to, because that will help you when you least expect it. Like this, hey, it actually worked out for me. But the thing is, you have to have that knowledge. It's good to put yourself in uncomfortable situations, even just in life in general. It's good to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. So I'm doing the lineup now. Now, typically he gets a lineup across the front of his hairline, but as you see here, I'm showing him, and he's telling me how he likes it. And I've cut his hair before, so I know what he's saying, but I recommended that he leave his front hairline natural, because he has some cowlicks up there and it's thinning sort of towards the corners. But I was telling him he should leave it natural, let it grow where he can style it. And of course, he took on my professional suggestion, and he decided to go along with this idea. And hopefully the next time he gets his haircut, he won't get it lined up, or hopefully that he likes it, for that matter, because that's the whole general purpose of it. But it's always funny cutting after another barber when you're following up another barber's work, because sometimes you have to fix some of their mistakes, or even tell the customer that they kind of messed up their hair, you know what I mean? Because his hair was a little uneven, which obviously, but if you're curious what I'm doing now I'm doing some detailing. So I'm just detailing the haircut, just polishing the blend. I'm slapping on different guards. This is the 1.5 if you're curious. And I'm just detailing, just making sure it's extra sharp and extra nice. Make sure the blend blends well from short to long. And I'm gonna be honest, this type of fading, I've never really done this before. Just going straight up like this from the adjustables with the blades. I've never really done it like this before. In the last 2 haircut tutorials that you see from me, this one and the last one, I did this. So now I'm just using scissors over comb to tie in some of that hair into the cowlick. So now what you're gonna see me do is some slot cutting, and I'm using this to create some texture. And if you guys follow me on Instagram, you will see that I posted this picture on my Instagram weeks ago. But this is how I created that texture in the picture that I posted on Instagram. Now, the more you do this, the more piecey it's going to look. The less you do it, let's say you take three crosses of sections, especially if the hair is longer, it's going to create a choppier look. So now I'm just blow drying it. No rhyme or reason. I'm just finger drying it with my hair, just styling, getting it ready for product. So what you're going to see in the end is me use you're going to see 2 different types of styling. So seeing how I don't have a lot of product here, and like I said, it's midnight, so he's going to sleep soon. So I didn't want to put any product in his hair that's going to weigh his hair down, and then he's going to have to take a shower or wash it out. I'm using talc. It works similar to that texturizing powder that you guys see from different manufacturers, whoever it is. And if you don't have texture powder, you can use talc. It works similar. I'm not sure how much better or worse it may or may not work, but I used talc. As you saw, I just pumped it into his hair, and you can see the texture pop in his hair here shortly when I give you a view of the top, and you'll see me spin him. So if you guys are ever curious, use some talc. If you guys don't have texture powder, use talc. So this is one way of styling it with talc powder alone. Pinot Clubman talc powder, in the green bottle. So you see the texture there. looks pretty decent. Now this picture, this is what I actually posted on Instagram, and I actually used some sort of like a soft pomade, and it created a lot of texture. Really nice look. Appreciate you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. It's your man, I Do a Barber, signing out. I will holla.